Good morning, Virginia. This is Virginia This Morning with Julie Bragg and Greg McQuaid.
Mother Nature's kind of teasing us right now. This week it really doesn't feel like it's almost winter, but it's coming.
Almost is. Now is the time to make sure you and the ones you love are ready for the cold. Chris Antone joins us with tips to keep the elderly in your life safe and warm. Chris, thank you so much for coming back.
Yeah,
Very
good to see
important
you.
this time of year, Chris.
Thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Well, as the mercury drops, though, how critical is it that we watch the ones that we love, especially our elderly family members?
Well, it's very important, and the first tip I have today is to bundle up, okay? Wearing loose-fitting layers is always the best way to keep warm, especially in weather like we've had here the last few weeks. One week it's 70 degrees, the next week it's going to be 30 degrees, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So if you get too hot, you can always take a layer off. If you get too cold, you can always add one. Don't forget the hats and the gloves and the scarves and the winter coat. And this is obviously important for everyone, but especially for seniors. Because as we age, our skin changes. We have reduced body weight, reduced muscle mass, our metabolism slows down. So all of those things make us a lot more sensitive to air temperature. So it's really important if you have a loved one at home who's aging to make sure they're bundled up, warm and dry.
Yeah, I always think of my aunt in her little, blanket at home and always being kind of cold. And I guess growing up, and I never really thought about that it's a physiological thing. I just thought, she's always cold. But it really happens to all of us.
It does happen to all of us, and like I said, it's just a natural process of aging. So you really need to make sure to keep bundled up. That way, when you do go out in the cold, you're prepared.
Chris, all right, we've talked about inside, but what about outside, too? Some of the conditions. We've gotten, just some rain, but what happens when ice actually forms on stairs and sidewalks?
Yeah, well, when the rain starts to freeze, that's when it gets dangerous.
Right.
And falls are actually the leading cause of injury-related death among older adults, so you have to be careful. Some tips for that: when you take a step, make sure to look at the ground and see if the area in front of you is cleared and dry. If you have sidewalk in front of your house, you can always throw some salt down. Make sure to wear some good boots, some non-skid-soled boots. That's really important. And another area of concern is overdoing it, right? If you want to stay active during the winter, but say the snow starts falling on your driveway, it's tempting to get out there and start shoveling away. Be careful, right? The heart is already working a lot harder than normal to keep the blood circulating and keep the body warm. So, shoveling only adds strain to the heart. So, try to avoid activities like that unless you're used to the regular exercise and you're really physically fit.
It really does happen. One of my best friends' dad just passed away about a year and a half ago, shoveling snow.
Wow.
Went in, and he wasn't that old. He was mid-60s, but he was not prepared for that. So that is very critical.
Yeah, hundreds of people die every year, unfortunately, due to shoveling snow. And one thing, if you're really set on getting outside and doing activities like that, because nobody wants to lose their independence.
Right.
Everybody wants to stay active and keep doing those things they did when they were younger. One tip is just warm up for a few minutes. Do some aerobics or do some light exercise inside to get the heart pumped up before you go outside into the cold.
Oh, all right. And how about inside? A lot of folks end up using space heaters or because they are cold and they want that extra warmth, and that's something that we need to watch out for too.
Absolutely. So you need to keep the house warm, like you said. You said you had a relative earlier who really gets cold inside.
Always cold, yes.
So
my mother-in-law.
So you have to keep the thermostat up.
Yeah.
But when you're keeping the house warm, you're either using a furnace or a fire in the fireplace or a kerosene heater. And all of those do pose a risk of fire and also of dangerous emissions. So make sure you or your loved one has, a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector installed in the home with working batteries. And if you need help with that, you can always ask a family member or a caregiver.
And it's always good to just check in on those elderly loved ones as well.
Absolutely. In Richmond, there are trusted care services all around the city that can provide that companionship and also help people maintain their independence at home. And Home Helpers, the company I work for, we provide that personalized one-on-one care that's designed to provide support that's similar to what a family member might provide.
Oh, Chris Antone, thank you so much. You're always welcome. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. Happy holidays to you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, you know what? Another performance by the Hackensaw Boys coming up next.
That's what we like. Chris
That'll
said
warm
he
us
saw
up.
them. Chris is a UVA grad. He said he saw them many a time. So, all right. Hey, another seasonal gardening tip for you. Mark Viette is out in the garden to show us how to put lights on a Christmas tree.